For bicycle mechanics, this is the thing that no one will show you, no one will tell you, and I think it's important to consider if you are considering whether to start working as a bike mechanic. So let's start. This is what a super fancy start of work day of a bicycle mechanic looks like, and not in terms of money. So I cheated a bit. I did not record the whole unlocking, disabling securities and everything, but here I am arriving at work, and it's a very quiet day. It's still very cold and there are not many bicycles around. However, the first thing that you get to do when you get to work is to take out a lot of bicycles to make room for working. Before that you need to unlock, and then you need to remove everything out of the workshop, because workspace is a premium. And if you are somewhere where workspace is cheap, that means that there is not much work. And if you are somewhere where there is a lot of work for bicycle mechanics, then the storage and the workspace will be very expensive, and you will need to spend a lot of time and effort to get it. So the lights, the main is on. This is my normal work day. My phone is on, and not normal work day, it's weekend when I'm recording this, but I got to the workshop to record some working, so my phone is on, and people will be calling and coming around asking questions and all sorts of things, or not, depending on the kind of day it is. For normal bicycle mechanics in cities, this takes a lot longer. So stay hydrated. This is my first time recording with this camera and microphone. We'll see what this looks like. And it may be a chance, there's a bucket down, a chance for you to see what my workshop looks like. So I've got a few bicycles in the back that were waiting for parts, and now I can start working, hopefully. Closing this up because it's pretty cold, but right now, before I get any work done and any bicycles on the stand, I would need to use a broom and sweep this all up. I will not be doing this for the video. There's no need to bother you with that. The idea was to show just how do I say, to demonstrate, not really to show. This is, again, like I say, super nice. Real full-time bicycle workshops have many bicycles stacked, so you can have problems entering, and then you need to get each one of those out, lock them. There is a certain amount of zen and gathering your thoughts and things like that while you're doing that kind of what I call meditative work. But there are people who really despise that kind of work and get really disappointed or annoyed, or even think they are being punished or similar. I've never had the situation that senior mechanics would make things, I know it happens in many trades, but I have never been to a workshop where senior mechanics will make you do silly things just to sort of punish you or to make you feel bad. But the general cleaning work is more or less equally distributed. Even from my experience, the senior mechanics are the ones that most appreciate the need to have your workplace clean and everything in place, and so I have often seen them as I am doing, being most diligent to keep things tidy and make things nice. In the morning when you're closing the shop, it's usually not possible to do the cleaning and everything, because it's usually, especially in the peak season, it's hectic and people will be rushing from the street. Hey, just fix me this flat, I see you're closing up. And so it's a sort of a ninja work to close the shop in the peak season. You need to sneak out and quickly close it. But when you come in the morning early, usually before the official opening hours, if you want to get it done, even then in the peak season you will have people rushing their bikes in. But when you are 1 hour before the official opening time, then you have acceptable excuse to not make it look like you are being rude, but to have them come later. And for the workshop owners, it's a thing of organization, and it's very difficult to extract profit in bicycle mechanics when people, so you will have low pay. That's the downside of bicycle mechanics job. Even if you're a shop owner, a workshop owner, when you have a factory, you can invest in tools and machines and have your every employee earn their pay within the first 30 minutes at work, and everything else is extracting surplus value. That's Marx in Capital defines those things very nicely, irregardless of your political views and leanings and whatever. The technical stuff is tried and tested, and it's nicely defined. So the thing is that for bicycle mechanics work, the kind of work is such that you need to have people that have decent people skills. Even if you organize a workshop to have mechanics working at the back somewhere and not facing customers, they will get calls, questions, or from other colleagues and similar. It's a very still, how do I say, social way of working, as opposed to, for example, doing systems administrative work, which is what I get my pay for. You can spend your whole career without being able to really talk to normal people and be a productive and good worker. Of course, being communicating with people is necessary, and it helps in a lot of areas, not just for work, but it's not really necessary. While for mechanics, you need to have people who have the brain to figure how things work and what's wrong and make it work, but also be decent working with people. Ideally, they should be quite good at that, but they also need to have a huge amount of other skills, including not just mechanics, but also electronics and electricity. Today we have a lot more of those things, and we also have hydraulic systems on bicycles and many new things coming every year. It's very difficult to keep up with that, and so very high requirements from various areas of expertise, or you need to have a huge workshop, a lot of capital invested with many specialized workers, and some overlap for sickness, vacations and whatnot. The workload is very varying through seasons. You get rush hours in the spring and early summer, and then during the winter you often need to diversify to do some ski repairs or something like that if you are in areas where there is such thing available and interest for it. So it's very difficult to keep the workload and to keep high quality workers and to have them earn a decent pay and be able to pay them decently, or earn a pay if you are the one doing all the work. Because what I touched upon in the beginning, with factories you can increase productivity, but with bicycles, even with the best tools and workshop organization, you cannot really increase your productivity past a certain level, which is relatively moderate compared to some industries, like real industries and production. And in those terms, if you are charging a decent amount of money for your hour of work, which is what you are selling as a worker or similar, and then very often replacing a part will be cheaper for the customer than doing proper fixing. And that is something that I hear a lot. People watch my videos and say, oh, there are no more mechanics that really do proper repairs. It's not that, not always, not very often not. It's that for the customer it's cheaper to replace a whole wheel than it is to knock out the damaged cups and, sorry, so it has begun. Joking. So that's another thing you get, especially during the season, if you don't have separate workers and then you need to pay them all. For facing customers, you get a lot of interruptions, a lot of phone calls, a lot of questions. People often don't understand and appreciate the amount of expertise and concentration needed for some work. So it is a taxing job. It is a taxing career. If you wish to make a career, there's not much career and progress you can make there in bicycle mechanics. As I said, even for a workshop owner, the amount of profit that you can make. You can have a huge investment in many workshops, a huge area to employ many workers. Then you need to organize so that they don't get fired in the winter. You need to find some work like skis and similar. And even then, if you are paying them people decent pay, you don't have much room to make any profit for you while you do all the logistics and invest capital and everything. So it's quite a tricky situation. And the result is that it's like a circle. People don't want to pay a lot for bicycle repairs, and so bicycle repair work is not very profitable, and you cannot keep high quality workers with the engineering mind and good people skills, and you often don't find many people who are motivated to have those skills and work for low pay and always do a high quality job. So it's very taxing. Trust is one of the problems that, thanks to having a website and YouTube channel, I don't have. People often come to me with positive prejudice, and that helps me because I really do. You have to take my word for it, but I really do try to make things better than they were when I came, and to treat people how I like to be treated. And so I try to justify that, and trust up front makes it easier for me to work. So I can tell people how it is, recommend what I think is best, and often I usually rely on giving them options and saying the pros and cons of each, letting them decide, unless they really cannot make their mind and say, okay, you do what you think is best. But generally I try to do that. But for most bicycle workshops, that's another recurring theme, and if you decide to work as a bicycle mechanic, you will face that. People will have bad trust. The typical classic example is replacing the cassette when you replace a chain. People will go on Reddit, people will go on forums everywhere and asking, did they rip me off? Well, and technically it would be true if someone replies, well, they should have just replaced the chain, then gave it a test ride, and if the cassette is not skipping, then you should not have paid for the extra cassette, they ripped you off. But in my experience, I was young, relatively strong, but not very heavy. I am a lot heavier now than I was 10 or 20 years ago. Unfortunately, that's a separate topic. But I could not make a chain skip, but the customer came for the bicycle the next day strong and much taller and much heavier than me, and when they cranked it up on an incline, the chain skipped, and that was a very bad experience for that customer, and I felt bad for having put them in a situation like this. I should have just charged for the cassette. Now, when I see a worn chain, even if it's replaced on time or not, if that bicycle is not coming to me on a regular basis, I do keep track, and that's very difficult, takes time and effort to keep track of every bicycle. I do that because I'm crazy, but you cannot reasonably expect a low paid high turnaround bicycle workshop to do that for every bicycle they service. It's completely unreasonable, and that would make things very unprofitable. I'm maybe spinning in circles now, but I think you get the idea, the main pain point. So anyway, to get back on this thought, sorry for the digressions. The thing is that for workshops, they will sometimes do things because of experience to prevent people coming back. That is the most expensive thing. It makes customers feel bad. It makes you feel bad if you're, how do I say, conscious about your job and things like that. But that trust takes years to build for most bicycle shops, and it's difficult to maintain. And that's another thing that you will be facing as a mechanic, the certain percentage of people who think that you have ripped them off and that you didn't do a proper job and similar, even if you do. And mistakes happen. Only people who don't do any work never make mistakes. The thing is to make sure that they are really an exception, not a rule in your work, and to try to see mistakes and try to prevent them when you experience them. I have changed my work procedure and setup over the years because I keep track of things when I do something wrong. If it's a recurring theme and something, even if it's not, how did I make that mistake? What can I do? Can I do something to fix it? Not everyone is as good at doing that. It takes a bit of a affinity for that, maybe analytical mind, if that's the proper term, but that's the thing that's inevitable. in more or less, and when people don't have trust, they will come to you and say, oh, you did a sloppy job, you didn't care and things. And I have the luck and the luxury of having the positive prejudice, so even when I do make mistake and feel bad about it, like it was a blunder, it happened, people react as if it's not my mistake, as if it's bad luck, and I try to make the most of it, to not abuse it. But that helps a lot, but that's a luxury that generally normal workshops and bike mechanics cannot really count on and afford. And so the job has many downsides, and now I will talk about the good things. So I will not say that you should not become a bicycle mechanic. Some people that I really, value and appreciate and love are good bicycle mechanics. And the kind of work is that you are doing something with your hands, and I can really appreciate that because I earn my living working with computers. That's fair to say. No, not trying to hide that. And so to come and build something, especially when I'm building wheels and things like that, it is very, very satisfying. I'm not very good at painting or playing instruments or building something out of clay, but this is something that I am able to build, and that's a really rewarding feeling. And I think that every human being has that need to make and create something. And so bicycle mechanics is one of the ways that lets you do that if you're assembling bicycles. And also there is a certain amount of magic to being able to bring broken things back to life. Yes, as I said in the beginning, most of the time you will be replacing parts today. If you care about customers, you will be replacing parts because for them it's cheaper, because otherwise you will be working for very small money. I can afford that, I do it as a hobby, but normal people, you will be either doing a small amount of work, not servicing many customers, that's not very good, and you will be making very little money or ripping customers off by charging decent amount of money for your time. So you will be replacing parts, but still you will be bringing broken bicycles back into working condition, and great energy and vibes when people are satisfied when you fix their bike, when they sit on it and get excited and happy for the positive change. Those are some things that are very rewarding. Also, when you do a lot of work, I was always worked in, moderate sized to small sized workshops. Never had experience of working in some huge corporation, really big, but here you can see the things moving up, the progress when you do a lot of work and there's more work and there's more money you get better tools and more people get employed, and you can see that more directly, and that is also very rewarding, seeing things grow. If the people who run the business are the kind that appreciate that and create some kind of still relationship. Those people who make big corporation and talk all the time about being a big family, that's nonsense. You should run from those people. But some people really do care, and throughout my career I've had my boss call me when I'm sick to ask if I need any help, and truly do that. And so that kind of relationship still exists, and that's what I think you should be looking for. Maybe not, maybe it's better to go become a lawyer and just chase money and things like that. There are ethical and good lawyers too, of course. I know a few, but taking that as a stereotypical example. So as I said, for bicycle mechanics, I don't know if this video helps any, if it makes any sense, and sorry for the long tongue and many digressions, but I wanted to get this out, and I will be locking the comment section of this video. Please use my forum for any questions, feedback. YouTube is a huge corporation and it doesn't care about really sharing knowledge and information. It's all about, I don't know what it is about now, but I would ask you to go to BikeGremlin.net forum if you have any questions or additions or want to share some of your stories or anything. And I, at the time of recording this, have closed all the comments on my videos. saves energy to do more quality things and more long-lasting things. One of those is answering questions on my forum that anyone can then search and find. Again, even when I'm not able to answer them directly, or anyone. By the way I write, every day could be my last. So again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in some other video. Hopefully audio for this worked okay. We will see.